There was another heated Piers Morgan panel where Cenk Uygur, Tommy Lauren, and Brian Cohen took part, where a multitude of great points were raised about both Trump and Biden. So as always, I thought we could dive into this and help give credence where it's due with some context, starting over the debate about Biden's age.
Is he too old to have added 15 million jobs to the economy? Is he too old to have reached our stock market to a record high? Is he too old to have brought inflation down to its target 3%? Is he too old to have brought wages up to exceed inflation? Is he too old to have signed the American Rescue Plan, the Inflation Reduction Act, the gun safety bill? All of these things, he is this old. There is the fact that he keeps doing what everybody says that he can't do, whether it's winning elections, whether it's presiding over a Democratic Party that is winning elections, or whether it's actually pushing his agenda forward or adding jobs, doing all of the things that Donald Trump said he would do, whether it's lowering healthcare costs, adding 15 million jobs, passing an infrastructure bill. He's doing the things that the other guy promised he would do, that energetic guy promised he would do and failed. And yet Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe from the campaign, is actually getting them done.
Okay. And that's just it. It gives the game away on why Republicans try to create these dementia narratives so hard, because on the merits of Trump's accomplishments versus Biden's accomplishments, it's literally no match, like football fields apart. And if you think Biden has dementia, which for you to think that, you literally would have never had to have met anyone with dementia in your life, then wouldn't it speak more failures to Trump that Biden with dementia has succeeded where Trump has massively failed? Trump had the House and Senate in Republican majorities for 2 years, and the only thing he passed was tax cuts for the rich. That alone should show his motives. He promised infrastructure and never delivered. He promised a wall that Mexico would pay for and never delivered. He promised a cost-effective replacement to Obamacare and never delivered. He promised massive job creations and a spark in the manufacturing industry and never delivered. He promised huge business investments that would trickle down to the working class and never delivered. While Biden has saved the working and lower class on after-tax income. He's invested massively into infrastructure. He's expanded Medicare for senior citizens. He's created more jobs than the last 3 Republican presidents combined. It's literally apples to oranges if you compare these two presidencies in terms of successes, which is why Republicans have to try so hard to clip Biden in disingenuous ways and cry dementia, or try to pin all the inflation on Biden when both Trump and the Fed outspent Biden in COVID relief, but I digress.
Democrat, progressive side, they think that it's perfectly okay to just completely destroy women's rights at the altar of limitless gender identity, to the extent we have biological males crushing women. Well,
Piers,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, when I hear Democrats,
that affects,
listen,
no, Piers,
listen,
let me explain.
Let me finish.
That affects 0.00001%. You guys are obsessed with beating up on trans people. It barely affects anyone in the country. It's a giant distraction. Meanwhile, women are 51% of this country, and you don't mind Republicans taking away their freedom completely and saying that their body is a property of the U.S. government?
I find it slightly weird when I hear people on the one hand ferociously wanting to defend women's rights, but on the other hand quite happy to see those rights traduced by things like allowing biological males to compete in sport, or allowing biological males to be in female spaces.
First off, this is just obfuscation, and regardless of your opinion, it's non-comparable. Trans people are 0.05% of the population. A small fraction of that are trans women. A small fraction of that are trans women athletes, and a small fraction of that play at a level where they are competing. This affects literally maybe 10 people in America out of billions. All science also backs their advantages being minimized to a fair level when they follow the Olympic guidelines. And again, not comparable to Republicans literally wanting to take 51% of the population's rights away, remove their access to contraceptions, not allow them fertilization treatments to help them start a family. It's sickening. And then obsessing over a literal non-issue for the only reason being transphobia is just equally as disgusting.
Donald Trump, more than any other human being in the world, has come out and taken credit for the 3 Supreme Court justices that he installed on the court, that he appointed to the court, that overturned Roe. This idea that Donald Trump has become like a moderate force, like a moderating force as far as abortion goes, is a wholesale denial of reality. Furthermore, the Republican Party, since the 2022 midterms, has decided to attack contraception, has decided to just recently opt not to vote in favor of IVF, this idea that the Republican Party as a whole, not just Donald Trump, but the Republican Party as a whole, has become more moderate or careful on the issue of abortion, women's reproductive rights, is just not paying attention to what's happening in reality right now. It's only gotten worse.
Exactly. Republicans said, throw it to the states. We won't be extreme. And now, while they posture as moderates, they refuse to codify contraceptives or IVF into law. Women whose fetuses have fatal anomalies have to flee states just to get abortions. SA victims' children have to flee states for abortions. When you allow someone's zip code to determine their rights, it never ends up well for the country. Just look how that worked for slavery.
I was literally in the room. I was there. I was at that event at the Peacock Theater at LA Live. Joe Biden was doing what he always does, which is just waving at the crowd. He has a long history of working rope lines ad nauseum. During the State of the Union, he was in that room talking to people so long that the C-SPAN cameras literally turned off. And that's what he was doing on that stage. He was just waving at people who were waving back at him, to the point where Barack Obama came around and just put his arm around Joe, his own vice president, and they walked off stage together, probably because Barack Obama had less of an interest in staying and waving at the crowd as long as Joe Biden did. But this is who Joe Biden is.
Now, let's quickly show the clip in question so we can put these comments into context. There's clearly, as you can see, people in the crowd waving at him. They're talking to him. They're taking pictures of him, videos, and he stands there for literal seconds. Like, it's actually 4 or 5 seconds. And according to right-wing media, that is proof, surefire proof of dementia, which again, if you think that, I urge you to meet a single person with dementia. But Obama clearly just doesn't have as much interest in staying on the stage as Biden. This was his VP. They're obviously close, but because he touches him on the arm and then they walk off together, the right wants to frame this as Obama is being his handler. At this point, the attempts are just getting really, really sad and tired, and it is exhausting to even rebuttal them because it's so useless. I mean, the people who believe these things aren't going to have their opinions changed anyway because it's a cult. It's a cult. It's definitely a cult, but each attempt makes a lot less sense than the last. If you enjoyed this video, we're Social Society. We're a commentary channel influenced by politics, society, and the economy. We are pretty left-leaning on this channel, but we're open to our right-wingers as well. The biggest thing here is having conversations that get everyone to the bottom of the truth. If that sounds like something that could interest you, consider smashing that subscribe button, leaving us a like, or even commenting on this video. We even have memberships available as low as $3 if you'd like to support, because the only way we become a society is together.